Hey, I'm here with a new video. In this video, I will show you what atlas tree you can use to get to t16 ASAP, and also what atlas tree I will be using in this league to make currency. So first off, the first tree I have is the base of every single tree, because this is how we get to t16 ASAP. It doesn't matter exactly how you build it, but you have to keep in mind two things. First, we want to rush to Wandering Path ASAP because it grants 100% increase effect of small Atlas passive, but you have to remember the big ones do not do anything. So I'll explain it. And what we want to get is 100% chance for monsters in each of your maps to drop an additional connected map. That way, whenever you clear a map, you will always get at least one map. So whenever you get a connected map, you can move over. Let's say you kill the boss, it doesn't drop a map, but then just walk around the map and until you get your connected map. All right. So why do I build it this way? So first off, early in the league, like whenever I get to maps, I want to be using June mission as much as I can, right? So I'll just remove it for now to explain. So this is what I went for. We're getting the 2% chance for one monster to drop a connected map, right? And then I want to get this, so whenever I am blasting through maps trying to get as many points as possible, I also have a chance to get June in my map. Because June items are really above the item level of which they come from. So if you're running, let's say, a area level 70, well, a June modifier is actually closer to a item level 84 mod, and even better sometimes than it is to a level 70. So that's one guaranteed mod, which is super good. I have a video about it, but yeah, I like to do this, pick that one up, so whenever I encounter a random master, it will be most likely be June, and you get more missions. That will be June, and then here that one, whenever you complete a map, you have 4% chance to get a June mission. So early on, I will be using every single June mission I get and try to run June as much as I can. All right, so now that this is covered, I will try to get every single 2% chance to drop, uh, which will change to 4%, which we get Wandering Path, right? And then you get this ASAP. So this is how I go about it. You could be coming from here, that side, whatever, getting correct missions too if you want, which is pretty good because it does two things. First, you can actually run a correct mission, and then you have to remember whenever you run correct missions, his inventory will actually change. That way you can progress even more your atlas buying maps you haven't completed. I don't do it personally, but this is something you could go about it. Instead of going here, you could be passing by this middle and then getting the wandering path. Once we have wandering path, you have to remember all the notable will no longer work. So this one will no longer work and that one too. So if you have the respect points, you can remove them. If not, it's fine. You can still keep them and keep going. It doesn't really matter. Later down the road, you will have the points and actually remove them. But just make sure you understand that they no longer grant you anything. Okay? But why is it like this? Why is my atlas like this? Is that if you look at it right now, it says 50% chance get a connected map. When I spec into it, it goes straight up to 100%. And this is what you want. It doesn't matter if you go higher than 100%, it will only drop one. So uh, that way you're guaranteed to get a connected map. So your map sustain is guaranteed. Also, you can get a higher tier over and over again because connected maps sometimes will be higher tier. So this is it for the base of what I will go for in 3.23. And then I will build on this skeleton for the other things I have going on. Alright, next we have an atlas for expedition and harvest. So if you notice, there's a couple of points I didn't take. Here I didn't take any of the less chance to get one of the colors to get more of another. Early into the league, the prices on every single color will be really really close to another, so it doesn't really matter. Like yellow is always the one that's most sought after, but I don't think spending a bunch of points into getting a small margin is actually worth. You're better off spending your points somewhere else. So this is why I did not take it. And also crop rotation is super random. I don't think you want to actually pick up that node. So I didn't pick any of those. If you want, you can add them to your atlas. But if you look at it, if we pick like, let's say we try to remove red and okay that way and blue, right, to get more yellows, we actually just spend like 11 points. So this is not something I want to do. I just skip it altogether. If you want to, you can do it, but in this case, I will not be using it. Okay, so what is this atlas good for? Well, as I said, expedition and harvest. So you can start making a bunch of currency early on, farming expedition for logbooks mostly, and for reroll currencies. If you want to run your logbooks yourself, it's a good way to do it. If you want to sell them, well, they sell for a really high price early into the league. So yeah, and then yeah, same goes for harvest. If you want to use it yourself to craft some stuff, it's really good way to go about it. Or you could sell it, but just remember early into the league, it doesn't sell for much, not as much as it does later down the road. So I would, if you can craft with it, I would suggest you do so. Anyway, both will get you currency if you want to run this. Okay, and if you're ever stuck, let's say you notice you start dying a lot and a lot and a lot, and actually have to invest into your gear, well, this is a good way to go about it because you can always make profit while you're actually, let's say, stuck into lower tier maps, and then once you've set up, you get a bunch of currency, actually upgrade your gear, and you can upgrade your character to be able to run like T14 or more. Then you can invest into the blue altars. Okay, getting this. Okay, and that point too. But make sure your character is tanky enough, and then you will run all the way to here. Increase 20% chance to increase your altars. You could run this too, but I'm not a fan of it. In the end, it's only like a 10% increase into your station. So what that means is instead of let's say getting 10 invitation, you will get 11 in the end. So I'm not a fan of it, but if you're running a bunch of maps, you can spec into it. Uh, so yeah, this is how I would go about this strategy. Make sure you're thinking enough if you want to do this because it can like actually break some builds. So just make sure your character is good enough. And yeah, this is the harvest and expedition. As you can see, even with invest into it, there's only 84 points, so you could add another strategy to it. So this is up to you what you want to do. All right, for the next one, we have beasts and essences. So if we look at the top, it says 102 points. Don't worry about it. I have a way to spend a bit less points to actually be able to do this and start like getting a bunch of currency with it. And but this is just how I build it to be the most efficient possible. And then I will explain it and I will show you how you can actually save a couple of points until you get that number. Okay? All right. So first, well, what this does is pretty much take every single essences node and aside of those two, so monster are imprisoned. I gave a chance to give you a remnant of corruption. I rather buy them than actually do this because if your essences are already corrupted, you cannot use a remnant of corruption on them, and that way you cannot get the special corrupted essences, so essence of horror and stuff like that. That's why I don't spec into it. If you don't want to buy the remnant of corruption, you could spec into them, but again, it takes 2 more points into it. But this is something you can do. So, yes. So same for here. Like I don't care about getting this modifier. It's cool when it happens, but I don't want to spend points like targeting it if I don't have to. So getting items with rare modifier that actually have a essence modifier could be cool, but don't waste your point on these. Okay, so the reason why I said there's less, you could take less points, I'll show you right now. Again, it's using the same skeleton as it was before. Make sure your wandering path isn't picked up, because if you pick up wandering path, again, it will not give you the uh, notables passive. Okay, so this strategy can actually work on tier 1 maps. So if you're really stuck and you want to make currency, this is something I would go for. It doesn't change if you're running this into T16 or if you're running it into tier 1, you will get the same stuff. There's some beasts that actually cannot spawn in lower tier map, but it's actually like not the beast we're looking for, so it's fine. So this is for the essences, as I said. The only thing you would like is to have a good single target, because sometimes the essences actually get tanky, especially if you have this node getting 3 more essences. Like let's say you have a 6, 7, or 8 essence modifier mob in a T16, it can be super tanky and super deadly. In lower tier map, even like if you don't have the best single target DPS, you should be fine. All right. Now about beasts. So we're trying to get spiders and get frogs, which are the two normal beasts, so that do not come from the memories that sell for the best. So that's why we're spec into those, right? And both of those can actually spawn into tier 1 maps. So as I said, you don't have to run this in a high tier map. Okay. And yeah, we get this because like Heinar takes forever whenever you have a bunch of maps. It's pretty much why we're getting this. And that node 2 is actually super good because like yellow bees are not the way to go about it. Like they will sell for like 2 chaos each, so you want to turn them into red as much as possible. All right, and then here we have this one, and to contain additional packs. And I don't pick those, okay? Nor do I pick this, because with this strategy you want to use bee scarabs, which are always super cheap, right? If you can actually invest in a golden scarab of higher, it's super good. But not, if not, just use the rusted scarab. It will guarantee bees, and this is what you want. You just want to guarantee it and run your maps. All right. Now, as I said, 102 points is a lot. If you want, what you can do is, oh yeah, yeah. The reason why we're using 102 points is because we want the 7 gate. And why do we want a 7 gate is that this league, there's actually no essences on the crafted key rank mods, so you cannot use it normally. But if you open a 7 gate, you can actually craft every single craft possible on your map. So Kirak will be able to give you essences. But if you don't want to spend a bunch of points just to be able to use the 7 gate, what you can do instead is just cut those points. So here, remove this, all of that, move that point, remove this one, and remove all of those. And see now it's only 88 instead. So we just, and that one too. So we just saved 15 points. That way you can still do beasts and essences, no problem. But as I said, you will not have the craft essences. So what happens is that you will only encounter like 1 or 2 essences in your map instead of 4 or 5, right? So it is what it is. You will have to run more maps to actually get as many essences. But then again, you don't have to spend a bunch of points into it. So this is something you can do. And then when you have more points, what you can do is just like we did with the blue altars, you can spec into the red altars and then get those points, get the yeah, more chances to spawn altars. And as I said, you can spec back into the 7 gate, right? Spec into 7 gate, and every single point I give you the gates, right? Okay, so all those points, right? And here the same. Oops, not that way. Okay, back into this, back into that one, and put. If you look at it now, it's 110, so it's a lot, but that way you're kind of finished. You're running essences, beasts, and when you get to T14, uh, good for the realtors. All right, last but not least, this is the tree I will go for into the league. So again, the same skeleton, going for a warning path, and then once you get to T14, you can actually unspec into it. But instead, for this build, I will try to get both of my Void Stones, so the Void Stone from Eater of World and Searing Exarch. And once I got both of those, I will unspec from Wandering Path and actually spec into stuff like Enriched Gaze, Rampant Growth, a Shadow of Hunger. And the other thing is I will be boss rushing, so running a bunch of maps, trying to get to the boss ASAP, using the altars to get some currency while doing it. And then we get this conquerors. That way we get bigger chances to get conqueror maps. That node, Remnant of the Past. That way we get more chance into Shaper and Elder Guardian maps. And Vivid Memories, same for more chances to get Centers map drops. All right, this can even give you Cortex maps, so it's pretty good. And same goes for Invitation. That way, final bosses give you more chances to give you Invitation. All right, so this is what I will transition into as soon as I can. And once I get this rolling pretty good and I get more points, I will actually try to get every single duplication. Okay, so this a bunch of right trying to get this. The reason why you want as many chance to duplicate your maps as possible is that while running this, if you get one Kirker map, you actually double it. You actually double your profit for the map pretty much, right? Because like not much, we're not using any mechanic, like we're not using expedition, we're not using anything aside of the altars. So most of our profit will come from maps. So this is what we'll go for. And as I said, the deeper we go into it, the more like nodes that duplicate maps we'll try to get, right? Don't need this, but right. And same for the other side. Okay, right. And yeah, once we get every single chance to drop to duplicate our maps, it goes up to 17%. And if you're running if you're running Ether World, you actually have an altar that gives you chance to duplicate your maps too. So this is pretty cool. The other thing you can do is that once you get a couple of Conqueror maps, this is something I really like to do, you can spec into Destructive Play. And what this means is that whenever you encounter the boss, at some point Maven will summon some more bosses. But what happens when you run Conqueror maps is that you can actually get boss, like you get boss from the normal boss, then you get to the conqueror, you get more chance at maps. So that's what I will be going for. As you can see now, it's already 103, but this is with all the chance to duplicate your maps. So when just make sure whenever you're using any of those strategy, you unspec Wandering Path. As I said, if you keep that on, it like kills like pretty much everything, right? Because all the notables will not work. If you want to make more currency, consider subscribing to the channel as I come up with new strategies and new ways to make currency. One last thing before we finish the video. I didn't talk about ultimatum at all, but I think it will be super rewarding. The only problem is that I don't think it's a good way to start the league with ultimatum because it will be super hard. It used to be really hard back then, and I think they actually made it even harder. So I don't think it's a good way to start the league, but it will be for sure rewarding. I will be investigating into it, and probably talk about it later down the road. But for now, I skip it entirely, and I think you should too. Do not spec into it because it takes a lot of points, and we're not sure what we get out of it yet, or if we can actually handle doing the whole ultimatum and actually get the good rewards. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. As always, take care.